You're watching Quick Reasons Why. Quick Reasons Why Napoleon was the greatest leader and conqueror. Napoleon wasn't born into a fancy family or anything. He grew up on a small island called Corsica. But he was super curious and loved to learn about everything, especially war stuff. Even as a kid, he had a twinkle in his eye that said, "I'm going places." When Napoleon joined the army, he wasn't just a regular soldier. Nope, he was a military genius. He had these amazing ideas about how to win battles. It was like he could see the whole chessboard while everyone else was stuck on one square. He went on to conquer a big part of Europe, making France a superpower. His troops called him the Little Corporal, out of affection. But being smart wasn't enough. Napoleon had another superpower: charisma. He could talk to people and make them believe they could do anything. His speeches fired up his soldiers, and they'd follow him anywhere. Imagine having a leader who makes you feel like a superhero. But how did he manage to gain everyone's respect? Picture this. On the battlefield, Napoleon wasn't just a general barking orders from afar. No way! He would stand right there with his soldiers, leading the charge. He was like Captain America, but in a snazzy French uniform. This showed his troops that he was willing to fight alongside them, and they'd follow him anywhere. He didn't just have the troops that respected him, but also the citizens of France. You want to know how he did it? Napoleon was a master of telling stories. Stories that made him look like a legendary hero. He had a team that ran newspapers and magazines, and they only told the stories Napoleon wanted the citizens to read. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and the news is full of stories about how Napoleon is the savior of France. He's the guardian of the nation, protecting it from bad guys. The papers and paintings were all about how he's the coolest superhero around. Wouldn't you love someone you read in the newspaper in the morning about saving your country? And if someone dared to say something negative about Napoleon, they'd hush it up real quick. It's like they had a censorship wand to make those stories disappear. This way, they could control what people heard and make sure Napoleon looked like the ultimate good guy. One day, Napoleon and his pals pulled off a cool move called a coup. They basically took over the government and said, "We're in charge now."
Whose country are we in?
This was a big deal because France was in a mess after the French Revolution. Napoleon brought order and stability, like a superhero fixing a city. He also had a bunch of fancy ideas for making things run smoothly. He created a bunch of rules called the Napoleonic Code that made laws fair and equal. No more crazy rules favoring the rich or powerful. Napoleon had this dream of a super-strong France, and he wasn't messing around. He'd talk to other countries and make deals with them, creating something called the Continental System. It was like forming a big gang with France at the center. Some folks weren't happy about this, but Napoleon thought it was a cool idea. Not only was he a military and political whiz, but he also loved science and the arts. He made sure people were doing cool stuff like inventing new things and painting beautiful pictures. Napoleon's journey from a curious kid on an island to a charismatic leader who changed the whole game was like a real-life superhero story. He had brains, charm, and a vision that made people say, "Wow, this guy is something special." Whether you think he's a hero or a villain, one thing's for sure. Napoleon was a great conqueror. He conquered lands, reshaped maps, and had a vision that echoed through history.